Yeah, evening guys. It's early evening here, so I haven't done a video for ages, like a story video. And one of the subs, loyal sub, who's been watching the channel since the beginning, has asked me to do something, so I'm going to oblige and do a little story and a little catch up. So what have I been up to? Been staying out of trouble, obviously. I'm still getting on with my medication reduction. Uh, my substitute medication is reducing, and I've knocked a third off that, so there's 2/3 to go. So, hopefully by this time next year, because I don't want to rush it, I will be off all meds, and that will be a good thing. What else? Things have been going well. I've got myself a little car, back driving again for the first time in about 10 years, because I lost my license due to drug driving and drink driving, and obviously I had to have a medical to get that back. 3 medicals, the first 2 times they wouldn't allow it, and the third time, after medical and blood tests, I've been allowed that, so that's good. So yeah, it's good to be back on the road. What else? The story I want to do, because a lot of my stories are from C category nicks, from C category prisons, so I want to go back to around 94. Like from the other videos, I was in Downview, got ghosted up to High Point, and then managed to go from the main, the south, at High Point, over the road to the north, which was a C category, but it was known to be a bit more cushier over on the north side, and you could get over there from work location, but also you had people that were getting in fights or in debt on the south or the main, and then being shipped over to the north, and then people on the north getting in debt on the north and being shipped back over to the south. And once they'd been through that, they ended up being shipped out of prison, usually to Camp Hill or somewhere like that, or Blunderstone or whatever. But this story, 94. So there's 3 blocks over there, 1, 2 and 3, or A, B and C, I can't remember what it was, but I think I was on A1, which is the first block you go on, and then you're meant to progress to either B or C, and the C is when you're getting home leaves and that sort of stuff. So when I first arrived there, I hadn't had a home leave on that, on that 3-year sentence, although my home leave time after, in the last 3 months or whatever it was of the sentence was due. Well, actually, I think it was the last 6 months of the sentence that was due for my first home leaves. But like I say, so yeah, I've been banged up with this guy, Danny Branning from Islington, and he'd been on the main, and his brother was on the main, and then he came over to the north. So when I arrived from Downview, I got banged up with him. Now, he was alright, Danny. He used to go out. His missus used to be a dancer for Hot Gossip, if anyone remembers them. That's a long time ago, Hot Gossip. And like me, he had his struggles with addiction and that. So yeah, I've been banged up with him. And this day, they said, Branning, you're moving over to C block because you're coming to the end of your sentence, or possibly you got entitled to home leave or whatever. So he's got his stuff and he's moved to C wing, and so now these cells on the north, in High Point North, you've got your own key, and you can go in and out of your cell all night, but the end of the little landing where the cells are is locked off at 8:30, 9 p.m. every evening. And dinner time, you go for your meals, it's like a dining hall, and the food there, funnily enough, was quite good, and the way it was presented was good as well. It was outside caterers, and when you went up for your meals in the servery bit, all the food was, you know, in glass cases, and it just made it look better than what it was. But even so, the food there was one of the best foods out of all the prisons I've been in, High Point North. Not so good on the main, but the North it was good. So yeah, back to the story. So yeah, so he's moved over there, and I'm on my own in this cell for a couple of nights, and then mornings come or whatever, and then a load of new bods, a load of new guys are coming over from other prisons, obviously all from other prisons originally, but first they would have been on the main in induction for I think it was about 2 weeks. You know, and a lot of people got over to the North like I did was through work location, you know, picking a course that was only on the North, like painting and decorating, you know, and I come from a family of painters, so that's why I went on that course and got to the North. And there was a lot of gear over there. You know, I see dealers in there that I'd seen people from Belmarsh ended up there, and they've been dealing for their whole sentence, you know, and they were doing years. You know, so there was a lot of gear, especially on C Wing, is where most of the dealers were, you know, because that's home leaves as well, you know, people going in and out of prison and bringing back parcels, you know, and not so much stuff being thrown over the fence, although it did happen. I think a lot of the gear there was still visits and home leaves and stuff, you know. So yeah, so this morning I've woken up, got my breakfast, you know, walked off the wing to the dining hall with your keys. You'd have your little keychain on your jeans or whatever, you know, because you could wear your own clothes. Go and get your breakfast, eat it over there at the tables in the dining room, and then come back to the wing. And when I got back to the wing, you got where the doors are, the iron gates, the barred doors onto the wing. On the left there is the screws office, you know, it's like a corridor, and at the end they screw sit in there, you know, and then in the evening you've got a night screw there, you know, and then at 9 o'clock you're all locked off and you can't get down there. But I did do another video about that when there was a screw sleeping in the evening, sleeping on the job, and I managed to creep in there without him waking up. He was at the desk, asleep like that, and there was 20 Benson and Hedges on the table there, and I managed to creep into the office, nick the Benson and Hedges, and he didn't bat an eyelid, and you know, I got away with them and took them back to my cell. You know, and if I remember rightly, I was probably gasping for a fag at the time. So yeah, back to the story. That morning, there's a load of new bods all in the corridor, all lined up, you know, and they're all being given cell allocation, you know. And just as I'm looking at all these guys, I didn't recognise anyone or see anyone that I knew. Danny Brannan walks in, you know, from C Wing, because you can walk in and out the other wings, you know, to see your mates and that, you know. And my job in the painting and decorating course was over on C Wing or Block 3. So yeah, little Danny from Islington's walked in, and these guys, these bods, they got their kit. They're all being told to go to this cell, that cell, whatever. And I've said to Danny there, look, new bods here, you know, one of them's going to be coming into my cell. I don't really like the look of any of these guys, you know, not that you've got a choice all the time, you know, but you can kick off if someone you really don't want to be in your cell is getting put in there, you know. There's ways of, you know, getting your own way. But basically all these guys are getting allocated to their cells, and there's one guy left. And I said to that Danny guard, looks like I ain't having that guy in my cell, you know. He looked like a big fat puff, to be honest with you. This posh geezer, the way he was talking was really posh. He sounded like a bit of a puff doll. And I thought, God, I don't need this. So I was just about to go up to the office where he was standing with his kit, you know, in his prison jeans and his red prison sweatshirt. At the time I was 25, I should imagine he was about my age, maybe a little bit older. I can't remember now. I think he was about 30. Really big fat guy from Camden he was. And I was about to go, Gov, I don't want this guy, I'm not having this guy in my cell. You'll have to find somewhere else for him, you know. Because it was a bit of a cons nick, you know, you could get what you wanted in High Point North at that time. And little Danny said to me, no, Sean, my brother sent me a message over and he's over on the main, he knows him, he's meant to be freighted up. He said, let him into your cell, have him as a cellmate. And I went, yeah, all right, I will. So I didn't say anything to the screws, and sure enough, the screws told him what cell number on the twos, which is upstairs on my landing. I've walked up there with him. I said, don't worry, Gov, I'll settle him in. And we've walked up to the cell, me, him and Branning. And it turned out that Danny Branning was right. This guy, Bernie Travis from Camden, it turned out that he had a kilo of heroin out on the out, and that was to see him through his sentence, you know, like a little bit at a time on each visit. He was trying to get, you know, possibly a minimum of an eighth, maybe a quarter ounce, which is a lot of gear for in there, you know. And if you're getting eighths and quarters up on visits, and you can have a visit, you know, at least 2 a month, maybe 3 or 4 even, you know, with privilege VOs. So, you know, you're looking at, you've got that sort of gear around you, you're going to get a habit in there. But what it was, when we'd got talking and stuff, it turned out that Bernie Travis, you know, he'd had a couple of visits over there on the main, on the south, and, you know, people had taken a piss out of him and were ripping him off and all that sort of stuff. He was talking about it, and he'd been spooned over there and all that, you know, pretty bad. And he hadn't had a visit for ages because his dad was like really old in his 80s and he couldn't get up anymore, and he didn't have any people that he could trust to bring the gear up, or he didn't have any people in that sort of crime world who would bring the gear up. Well, you got to remember, bringing stuff up, a Class A drug like heroin, yeah, fair enough, a couple of bags, but what you got to remember, bringing up eighths of an ounce and quarters, you know, you're looking at a lot of bird if you get caught bringing that into a prison. You know, you're looking possibly first offence 6-7 years even, especially back then, you know. It's not like now where people get done for massive amounts of drugs and then within a few hours they're out on bail and all that. Back in the 90s, if you got caught with a few bags of brown and a few rocks of crack in the early 90s, you're looking at years in prison. And I know plenty of people that have done just that for just a few bags of gear. So yeah, what he's saying to me in the cell, and Danny, is that he's got no one he can get to bring it up. And I said, listen mate, no problem, right? You send the gear, whatever you want, to my place in London, in South London, and I will get it brought up for you, and then, you know, I'll take my cut, sort you out, and Bob's your uncle, we'll be away, you know, happy days. And he went, yeah, that'd be good. And I, you know, basically I'm giving him the address, you know, and I said, you know, you got a phone card, because in them days there was no mobiles in the prisons, it was telephones, like a telephone that you'd get in a phone box on the outside, you know, but you got these green plastic phone cards, and you put them in, you know, and they'd be £2 at a time, and you buy them out the canteen, HMP phone cards they were, you know. And so basically, I think I'll give him a phone card, or he had his own, and he went downstairs to the phone and he set it up. I think he got his old man, the old dad who was in his 80s, to get the parcel of gear, and got it sent round to my place. And obviously, because I knew people in that drugs world and the crime world, I would get that brought up. You know, someone would bring that up for me and take that risk, you know, which was very good of them, considering the risk they were taking, you know. So, you know, I'd done that on multiple occasions, over and over again, you know, because it was a CCAT prison, you know, and it wasn't maximum security, you know, so you people got searched in there if it was on top and that, but you know, if you played it cool, it was pretty easy, you know. So I'd get a visit, bottle the gear, then bring it back to the wing, and basically I'd say to Bernie Travis, look, you know, we'd have a good smoke, sort out who we were sorting out, and basically I'd look after the gear and I'd sort him out because he couldn't be trusted with it because he'd been robbed quite a few times, you know. And at the time I admit it was me and then Bernie Travis, little Scouse, my mate Scouse from Crocky, he used to call it. And yeah, so this went all right for a few times, you know. I was sorting loads of people out, and after about 3 or 4 times of getting 1/8 of an ounce, you know, that's 3.5 grams of this really good heroin. This is the 1990s, you know, 94, 95, really high purity, lovely gear it was. I mean, this guy, he was quite wealthy as well. He used to hang around with Charlie Chaplin's grandson, and he knew that Shane McGowan and all that from the Barfly, the pub in Camden where he used to drink and all that. So yeah, and basically yeah, he kept sending the gear and I kept getting it brought up. But then all the trouble started, a lot of trouble started, because what it was sorting a few people out, mainly sorting people out on C Wing. They were coming over in the morning, you know, for a sort out, because a lot of people there had habits. And like I say, I felt like I needed to sort a few people out all the time because, you know, you need that protection really. When you're on your own and you've got that gear around you, you know, if you're not sorting the right people out, you're going to get robbed and it'll be taken off you. And basically, you know, this has gone on for ages. And basically, what's happened is, this has gone on for a few months, getting the visits, I'm getting it all brought up. And I've got a habit now, you know, from having all these visits, sorting people out. And, you know, just about everyone knows, because it's like a, you know, it's a prison grapevine and people know who's got the gear and all that, you know. But what's happened this day, so Screws have come and said, Sean, you're moving to C Wing because you've got a home leave coming up, your first home leave, and we don't have home leaves on this block. So you've got to go to C Wing. And I'm in turmoil. I'm thinking, God, I've only got like 6 weeks left or 2 months left out of this 3-year sentence. I've got this prison habit and I'm thinking, oh, shall I not have the home leave so I can stay here and babysit this fat Bernie Travis, and you know, who's sorting me out all this gear, and we got everything round us from trading it out, all this tobacco, you know, you get these little wooden cabinets with a key, they're all full up with goodies, food, tobacco, everything really, you know. And I thought, I can stay here if I don't take the home leaves, you know. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I thought, yeah, all right, Gov. I thought, yeah, I've got to get out and see my family and that. So I moved to C Wing. So basically I had to say to Bernie Travis, you know, we can continue with this, but I can't sort of babysit you because I'm going to be on the other wing and that, you know, where Danny was, little Danny Branning. And basically I moved over there, and what happened was Bernie Travis stopped sending the parcels to my address, yeah, and started using other people, and this is when all the trouble started, you know. And there was some fights over this, a lot of trouble, and the first time he used, I don't know who he used, but I know it was a couple of the guys that had tried to rob me before when I'd first taken over, getting the gear in for this Bernie guy. They tried to rob me. I'd done a video about that, you know, where they come in after the visit, Slim and all that, and Chippy, Stephen Edwards, yeah. So what it was, basically, they were on him, they were running it, so, you know. But I'll have to do all that because of the first visit that they done for him after he decided not to do it with me anymore. They basically, you know, they just took all his gear and left him with nothing. So basically what I saw was basically his parcel. There was just a room in the showers or whatever, it was just full up with bods, just handing with their hands out, and he was just sorting everyone out. Complete strangers that he didn't even know. You know what I mean? I mean, I was there to wait my turn, but you know, I thought this is silly, mate. And I thought to myself, yeah, he's probably just getting one parcel that he's keeping back for himself, you know, undercover, and another separate parcel that he's giving to everyone, so they think he's got nothing left, you know. And I'm not the sort of person that's into robbing people and all that, you know. So I just thought, no, how can he do this? But like I say, he was a bit of a fat puff. But yeah, was moving on to other things. So basically, yeah, I can continue with this story because what happens, it all turns into there's some big fighting going on over all this, over who's going to control this parcel, you know, because basically people, they want to control it because they're just going to get in all their gear for free, you know. That's sort of what it's like in there, you know, because a lot of people in there don't get visits, or if they do get visits, their people are straight goers and they won't go near drugs or whatever, you know. You know, what you got to remember is it's a crime to take drugs into prison, a really serious crime. You know, I know someone that's got 2.5 years for 2 joints for taking 2 spliffs worth of hash into a prison, you know, into Belmarsh, you know, and he ended up in Belmarsh for 2.5 years, you know. And you know, for taking heroin into prison, you know, the minimum you'd be looking at would be 3-4 years, possibly 5, you know, depends what sort of convictions you have. But like I said, I'm going to get on with this story, the second bit of this story, in another video. Like I said, I just wanted to get this out there because I haven't done anything for a while, and say hi to everyone, and I hope you're all well, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks.